Welcome back to SwitchCorner. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be taking a look at Apsulov End of Gods on the Nintendo Switch, a Viking sci-fi horror adventure. I was sold that summary alone, but is it worth the add to your library? Well, hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and let's get started. So story, and it's all set around the idea that humans, they dug deep below the surface of the earth to find the mercy of the gods. The problem, what they found, it was never meant to have a path to above the ground, and what you found, I think it's fair to summarise here, they're not a fan of humans at all. Starting the game though, you'll awake in a lab. There's a creature meets tech of some sort hovering above you, and it appears they are medical. In what is a fantastic opening though, this creature's dialogue, soon it changes from almost comforting to showing its true colours. Now it's time to uncover where you are and what is happening. First though, the priority, that is to escape, but be prepared to face all sorts of demons from different realms around what is the World Tree. Really enjoyed the story. You'll start off solo, but along the way you will meet other characters that are both friendly and not so much. And then there's a ton of tablets that go into developing the world with these kind of audio logs. The combination though of sci-fi and then Norse mythology absolutely works. So gameplay, and it's a first-person horror experience, but not a walking sim. You can very much sprint here, especially when faced with an enemy. There is stealth gameplay as well, and then you'll also get power-ups of sorts along the way. There's little in the way of combat, honestly, and I would personally avoid it at all costs. But the game keeps a brisk pace, always pushing you forward. It even throws in some almost cinematic action set pieces. Think though, exploration moments and a little bit of stealth, puzzles, and yeah, you get the idea. As horror games go, I wouldn't say it's the scariest out there. It's for sure playing into the violence of the, situation, no question. But it's also got a nice balance of horror moments as well as that adventure exploration. Along your journey then, as I said, you'll quickly be receiving power-ups. First to open the game, you get what is called the Sight. This is essential because not only does it allow you to see secret messages as it uncovers almost paintings on the walls, but it will also give you the ability to see in the dark. This game is incredibly dark, and turning it off, you will often see absolutely nothing. It literally is pitch black. In fact, on starting the game on Switch, I would recommend bumping up the brightness, because at the recommended settings, for me, it was just a little bit too dark, too challenging, and yeah, I really struggled to navigate. Your next power then is a bionic arm that can do things like fire electrical pulses. This will be used for puzzles, unlocking doors, and you'll be expected to charge this on the go. This can be thanks to handy green tablets around the station or terminals that allow you to recharge. I like this mechanic, especially for opening doors, as you need to stop a circle in the lock mechanism that you can see with your vision just at the perfect time. It's a small thing, but it definitely made the situation feel more involved. Outside of that though, I don't want to give too much away about what you can expect moving further in the game, but yeah, there's going to be further items at your disposal to use in this world, and it's got a very nice pace at giving you just something new, something to check out every so often. The only other element, two gameplay collectibles around the world that you can dig up with a little extra exploration. It is a mostly linear experience honestly, but there's always like kind of offshoots to the path that you can check out. Then there's also what I would call afterlife moments. These are really unique. Now say an enemy catches you, they kill you, you actually get a chance at survival. You awake in a room, you need to collect orbs to power up a portal. Do this, you're good to go. The problem, you're not in this room alone. Fail then, and that's game over. It's to the last checkpoint we go, which are orbs on towers around the world. Thankfully you do cross these frequently, but do know the game does not operate on an autosave system. Problems, and the main one for me, it's got to be the stealth moments. Like, it's nice to see a game here. It actually has the ability to let you lean out left and right to look around corners, something that's typically reserved for PC gaming more than anything. It was the enemy reaction though, honestly. It just felt a little random. Sometimes they reacted, sometimes not. Often I just sprinted right past them, honestly, especially early in the game when they are slow. Apsulov, it leans into stealth maybe just a little bit too much though for my liking. The AI just isn't there to back it up. I wish the game had maybe taken some of this away and given just the exploration in piece the focus, because the world here is just so unique. You will want to dig up as much information as possible. Then the other issue, overall performance of the game on the Switch. It's clear they've really pushed here for it to, run at a decent rate, but it is a favorable frame rate. For a good portion of the opening, it's going to hit 30, but I did relatively frequently see drops to 20, especially as the game starts to open up and present you with larger locations or even, more populated areas. Fortunately, it's not a deal breaker given it's not a first-person shooter, but it's for sure immersion breaking from what I thought was an incredible world. So graphically, it sucks to say this, but at points it was beautiful. In other moments, I really did struggle to make out the detail. The game's pushing to get it running on the Switch hardware, no question about it, and you can see the cuts they made, but its lack of detail at times meant it was honestly extremely difficult for me to figure out what I was looking at. Then in busier scenes, there's a decent chunk of pixelation. It meant it was tough to figure out navigation. As I said as well, the game leans heavily into extremely dark scenes, and that's not a particularly strong point for the Nintendo Switch. After an hour or so though with the game, I switched to handheld however, and yeah, that is a godsend for this game. Now sure, the frame rate it still fluctuates of course, but it at least sharpens up the image quite a bit. That would be my recommended way to play this one though. Like handheld, lights off, headphones, and yeah, that should be the best experience possible. The world really is unique though. It's actually quite stunning in moments, from the scientific labs to the use of symbols that can only be seen with X-ray vision. It adds a nice bit of neon to the world. And then there's even some larger environments like an early outdoor scene where you find yourself in snow. The only other weakness visually, I'd say enemy design. It's decent, but there's not a whole lot of variety. It kind of relies on recycled models. Audio finally, and very good. From the expected jump scares in game to that of an enemy approaching. I was particularly impressed with the game's sound design and music. Now I wouldn't say there's a huge amount going on, but it's very in keeping with the theme of the game, and for me it delivered on a balance between almost Norse and science fiction. Voice acting then wraps it all up, and for an indie title I was really impressed, especially again the opening moment with the creature that greets you. It gave me hints of Portal in this moment, and that, is never a bad thing. So the final verdict, and it's a game I really enjoyed that does struggle. The world, the concept, I loved it, and I appreciated the fact it's horror, but it's actually out to build a world and story as well, and the horror is just kind of one element, as I said, and not constant, rather it lives alongside the adventure. The world's design then and your journey around realms, yeah, it's just absolutely intriguing. The problem though, it's that performance, as I said, ducked really did struggle as I progressed. Now of course we've mentioned the frame rate, that's going to be handheld or docked, but really it's the larger scenes, the creatures, just some of the world design. It was incredibly difficult at points to understand what I was looking at due to that pixelation and that downgrade they've had to make. I ended up resorting to handheld play, which for sure helped with clarity. Also a little bit too much reliance on stealth sequences that do definitely outstay their welcome. For me, this one, it's an above average, a 6 out of 10, but you need to be willing to face that soft image. That said, playing handheld, I'd actually be willing to bump this one to a 7. Will you be adding Apsulov to the library though, or is the horror, the setting, even the performance putting you off from picking it up? With that then, a shout out to the patrons of the channel who are just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.